Good evening. Welcome to the Menomonee Falls Public Library Board of Trustees monthly board meeting. It is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, and we are called to order. First, we have roll call. Nicole Barker, President.
Tom Ewig, Secretary Treasurer.
John Soper.
David Munoz.
Michael Dibbitz.
Scott Habanger.
Ann Mussela, Ellen Rohr, Jacqueline Romer.
All right, we would normally move to a public comment period. However, nobody is here to make any comments. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda will be approved in one motion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. That item can be considered at an appropriate time during the board's regular order of business or under new business. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 13th, 2025 regular board meeting and the bill approval for August 2025 in the total amount of $71,088.26?
I'll make the motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from the August 13th, 2025 regular board meeting and the bill approval for August 2025 in the total amount of $71,088.26, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Next, we'll move on to the committee reports. First is the Finance Committee. We're going to be discussing and considering for approval the Finance Committee's recommended 2026 library budgets. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. I'll let Jackie and Sean go on that.
I'm going to turn it right over to Jackie. She can go through everything.
Sounds great. Yes, so we really took a deep dive on this budget, at least the draft budget in the Finance Committee. Some numbers have updated since then, but only within the personnel. So as you can see, on the first page, we have the $300,000 reduction in property taxes. And then you can see our other sources of revenue, including anticipated grants, county library supplement, cross-county reimbursement for patron usage in adjacent counties in the year of 2023, or 2024, excuse me. Materials recovery fees, our copy machine revenue, we are seeing that increase as we've been discussing. Vending machine reimbursement, our book sales are doing incredibly well, including our lobby book sale, which is all the time, due to a really incredible group of volunteers who are maintaining it, making sure that the hottest titles are out in the lobby, so they're doing a great job. So we're increasing our anticipated revenue from that. We're also looking at hopefully getting $9,000 next year in revenue from Latitude Cafe. 10% of all sales go back to the library, so that's wonderful. And then looking at our miscellaneous donations, which again, not something that we can always rely upon, but based on past trends, we're at $7,000 for that. Friends donations, they received a directed donation of $10,000 to help go towards library materials, so that's a one-time donation, so that's included in that, making their total contribution, again, just the budgeted contribution, $21,000. We may receive more next year based on donations that come in or initiatives that they agree to fund.
So do they anticipate getting some big donors like that this year? Historically, this looks like this year's like 3 times the amount that we've ever gotten.
Yeah, so this was a one-time $10,000 donation. I will say, as long as I've been here working with the Friends, we've seen a lot more donations of a larger size, 5,000, 10,000. So I think more and more people are coming to recognize the Friends, remembering the Friends in memorials, things like that. So I think in the future, we can hopefully expect more large-scale donations like that for the Friends. Plus, with the Special Projects Committee, with collaborating with them, we may have some other potential there too, to get some donations in the many thousands, so that's great. Interest earnings, now that number we get every year from the village finance department, so they're anticipating that it is gonna be around $58,000 in interest on our fund balance, so we plug that in. It could change, it's so hard to tell. We just go by the number that they give us. So that's it for revenues. Moving on to the fun part, expenditures. As you can see, we have our salaries, our allocated salaries. So that decreased quite a bit since our finance committee meeting. In 2025, the library had 20.15 FTE. In 2026, we're budgeting for 17.59. That includes the reduction in staff, the reduction in positions, as well as reduction in hours worked for our employees based on the 8 p.m. closure. We've worked with the village manager and the director of finance to really look at the allocations for the village employees that we pay a portion of their salary and benefits for based on the work that they do for the library. After the previous finance committee meeting, we had a conversation with them about it. Then after this past week's finance committee meeting, I spoke with them further and they were able to adjust based on some actual usage. And we were able to get that number down from the initial estimate of $106,000 down to $79,300. So that helped quite a bit in terms of being able to make our budget work and not have to look at cutting additional positions here at the library.
Do you remember what that number was from last year? Because I know we talked about it. So is that more in line with what we had paid last year? Is it still more?
I do have that number. Let me pull that up.
With Louisville, maybe it's about the same.
Increase of approximately $3,000 from the 2024 budget.
I think that's a fair trade-off, considering
Yes.
I think we're paying more of our fair share now.
Yes, I agree. Then we go down to benefits. The great news is that we found out that health insurance is going to remain flat in 2026. So even though the village is going to a self-funded plan, it's going to remain flat for both the village and the employee, which is really great. So that was a huge help with our budget. And we do have some various retirements and staff changes in there, so that's why you'll see a difference in the health insurance, a decrease.
What are, just a little bit on health insurance, that's the really only question that I have, is that it's great that you're flat, that's like unheard of,
Yeah.
actually. And moving to self-funded, did they give you any suggestion on percentage of disruption? Meaning, obviously they're changing things, different RX and or whatever. So is there any indication about changes that way, disruption with just?
Not that was shared with us. I've been told that the self-funded plan is going to be a lot more broad, so it's not like, I was told that none of the employees should have to look into changing providers, which is good, because that was a big deal
That's what
previously. So I believe that they're going to have even more coverage possibilities in terms of various providers than we do now. Because currently we're with Network Health, which it favors Freighter very much. So they should be able to really choose where they want to go, who they want to see, which is great, because it's always really bad for the employee when they're forced to change doctors because of an insurance change.
So the district is self-funded. So the big thing about going self-funded is usually you can keep reserves. Is the village going to be keeping all of the health insurance reserves, or are they splitting the reserves that a result of being self-funded with the village and then the library,
I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure. That's a good question.
right? Because they'll have a reserve, which is why you self-fund. So, I
Mhm.
mean, you're cutting out
Yeah,
the middle people.
yeah, I don't know that answer.
Okay.
That's a good question. If I do find out, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that can be a substantial financial driver.
Okay,
Because, I mean, we're sitting on 6 to 7 million in reserves, and
Oh, wow.
we needed it,
yeah,
because we were 1.6 million more in RX spending that we're spreading over 2 years. But, so we're very happy that we're self-funded,
right,
and we have this reserve
yeah.
in order to take care of those short-term disruptions. So
Okay.
that's why I'm asking the self-funded question.
Okay, yeah, let me ask Andrea that. I'm curious that answer.
Yeah, I'm sure the money folks all have that figured out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a learning curve for everybody, for sure. I think they're really interested in, in the next few years, really looking towards more preventative health care, things like that,
Yeah.
incentives, which is gonna be awesome, because right now there's not much of it.
Sure.
So I will look into that and let you know what I find out. The interesting thing about our health insurance plan here is if you look at a single health insurance plan, it's about $8,000 on average. Family is about $20,000 for the employer, for the library. And then we also have another plan where if your spouse or your parent, if you're on your spouse's or your parents' health insurance, which we have quite a few of those, they also have a plan where they get sort of like a health savings account, and that's about $7,000 a year too. So we're essentially paying for a single insurance plan cost-wise for those who choose to be on their spouse's or their parents' health insurance.
Yeah, those HSA options are great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's just for saying that even if you're not using the village's insurance, it still is a cost for the employer. And that will continue even with the self-funded.
Yeah, I'd be curious financially
Yeah.
about the reserves,
Yeah,
the health insurance reserves.
let me make a note to ask about that. Down under employee training and expenses, we have the decrease in training and education, conferences, CE. So we're no longer going to be paying for as many professional memberships, things like that. Those are things that we've discussed in terms of cost savings. So we'll pay for the Wisconsin Library Association membership for librarians if they're taking part in a committee or a work group in Wisconsin Library Association. Things like my SHRM membership, I'll pay out of pocket, that sort of thing, just to be able to balance the budget. Recruitment and personnel, we are taking out the team member shirts and the appreciation and morale line. We're hoping that the Friends can help step up with that sort of thing. The staff education day lunch, the Friends pay for every year, so that is staying in there. And then just miscellaneous things like name tags for new team members, we have a small budget amount for. Travel expenses, we decreased slightly just because we have less people interested in going to conferences, and so many meetings are more and more available virtually on Zoom. And a lot of the times it's just more convenient to do it that way. Continuing on, I think we got all that covered. Down to materials and supplies. We eliminated an office supplies line, so that's something that, if we need it, if we absolutely need it, we'll buy it, and it will likely balance at the end of the year. Postage and shipping, we're keeping the same. Printing is increasing a little bit more with paper costs. But we are working with vendors to get cheaper paper.
It's not increasing, that wasn't 221, but that
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's right. Merge 220, the 221 line with, we were buying paper in building and maintenance and to regular operations, so that got merged into one. Thank you for that correction. That's gonna take me a while to get used to. Processing supplies, we're decreasing a little bit. And then computer supplies, we are decreasing slightly some computer software subscriptions, so we're getting rid of Adobe and going with Canva for nonprofits, which we get for free. Otherwise, and we're getting rid of that Baker and Taylor license because we mostly go through a different vendor now for library materials. Under publicity and programs, as you can see, that was our storyteller budget for our brochure. We're no longer we're retiring that this year, so we won't have anything there. And we are going mostly digital with our promotions and our publicity. Under programming, you'll see that we decreased programming by a few $1,000s. And then you can see where it's divided up. We got rid of the movie license, so that we'll no longer have licenses to show most movies. There are some that we don't need a license for, such as like PBS, that we'll try to continue doing that for Docs and Donuts, things like that. But otherwise, those movie licenses are pretty expensive. And we're not seeing the amount of attendees that we used to see in the years past. We're expecting to receive a programming grant from Bridges for adult programming for $500, and then we have our standard youth programming. Everything other than that is pretty standard. E-materials, you'll see, is decreasing slightly because of no longer having Hoopla. But as you recall, we do have to pay the standard amount of money anyway because of the standard, so it's not like we're slashing the materials budget. It's staying very much the same. We're just no longer having that buffer in it that we did because we had so many issues with our vendor that we weren't getting materials at the end of the year. So we removed the buffer. We're down to the minimum requirement from the Waukesha County Library standards based on our population. And we do have a e-content grant from Bridges, the same one that we received this year for Hoopla to help offset the costs of our e-content like Libby. And then the digitization, $10,000, that's also coming from the grant that we received from the Friends. Under lease rental expenses, that's all standard, staying the same. Nothing new to see there. Under contractual services, you're gonna see a jump in the price of the Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. That was another difficult sticker shock, I suppose, when we got those IT costs from the village, and something that we had to reconcile with as well because of the great increase, but they are upgrading the software, so there's really nothing that we can do about it, and that it is what it is. Contracts, you can see all the various contracts for building and maintenance. So it's an off year for window cleaning, so we don't have that, but we have the standard contracts for snow and ice removal, roof repairs. We always budget for that because we always need them. There's no pressure washing this year of the building. And then just standard contracts with Otis Elevator, HVAC, sprinkler system, fire testing, things like that. Our custodial contract with Trotter is decreasing because staff are now emptying their own garbages and recycling from their desk. Moving on down to IT maintenance and support. It's a slight increase, but you can see exactly where it's going towards. We got rid of the microfilm reader contract because we are going digital with our newspapers, our Menomonee Falls newspapers, so eventually we will not need the microfiche machine.
Oh, that'll be a sad day.
Yeah.
I use that in college all the time.
I know.
It did.
Down in repair and maintenance, that's also pretty standard, so buildings and grounds repair and maintenance, that stays the same, almost every year. Repair and maintenance for computer hardware. We're not budgeting anything for office equipment or furnishings for repair and maintenance, so we'll handle those on a case-by-case basis. If we need to repair something, we'll look at the budget and see how we're doing and see if it's feasible. Property and equipment, we have, we eliminated a $5,000 cost for any unscheduled maintenance to our security system, any unanticipated repairs that may need to be made. The village IT department head said that he's not anticipating any, so again, that's one of those things where we're not gonna budget for it. If we need to, if it comes up, we'll deal with it then. There's not gonna be a $30,000 charge next year for the community room tables and chairs, so that's taken out of the budget. And no computer hardware will be purchased next year. And then we get down to utilities, and all of that was provided to us from the village, so Public Works and IT. So you can see heat, light and power. Heat continues to go up based on the projections from the Department of Public Works. Internet service. And then our various insurances for liability, boiler and machinery, property damage. I do want to circle back up just very briefly to personnel. So because we were very grateful that we were able to renegotiate the salaries for the appropriations for village staff with the village administration, but with the increase in IT costs, we had to look at our personnel budget again. And so we are going to be looking at moving a 37-hour or a 40-hour position, full-time position, down to 37 hours for when we replace that position after our retirement. And then we are looking at replacing a 11.5-hour page position with an average of 5.5 hours, and those can be dispersed amongst the existing employees. So it will work out. There are just some additional hour cuts, but in terms of how we expect it to go amongst the personnel, we think that that will work out.
Are we still within our minimum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
so, in 2020, yeah, I think I already told you the FTE that we had for 2025. So 20.15 we were at budgeted for this year, and next year it's gonna be 17.59. Yeah,
What is our minimum?
17 point,
like 8? But that also doesn't include the village appropriation, which is gonna be 0.54, and that does count
Yeah.
towards the standard. So we're gonna be above it by at least 1 FTE.
Okay. I know that's really cutting.
I know, yeah, it is. We are truly taking things down to the minimum.
Could I just ask one clarifying question on some of these? And it may be just because it's not broken down smaller, but with contractual services, I see village IT expense of $34,000. And then, I see a later village IT expense for $24,000 on the next page. In other ones, it tells us what those are for, like Spectrum and so forth. Could you explain to me how, what the contractual services where I'm seeing, 2 IT village expenses? And one, I guess, is, I don't understand why, there's the Microsoft agreement, village IT expense is,
That is the expense.
that is the expense, is the Microsoft, okay, so I see, I might be reading it.
And the other one is not detailed because we got Today we got numbers about, what, 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
And he gave us just the total amount, he didn't give us how to break those up. I do have detail from a couple days ago, but
So it's just not clarified, okay?
Right.
I just want to make sure there wasn't some sort of redundancy with
I have that information of what that's all for, if you want me to send it, but it's a list about ELR.
A lot of it is things like, our portion of, the agenda software, things like that, so that we can post the agendas on the village's website, our percentage of those things.
Our percentage of the server maintenance and the, just all the.
Yeah, I get it. I wanted to
Some-
make sure it wasn't redundant.
Right,
Something
yeah,
else.
like back-end financial software that we use for reconciling things, we pay a portion of all that as well. So it's a long list of various softwares.
Roughly 10% of all of the softwares.
The, under insurances,
Yep.
is there a reason that it's red?
It's a guess, they never give us numbers.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what it is, it's
Yeah.
just guessing, okay.
Yeah, it's always.
You're just plugging in the same numbers as last year.
And usually one is higher and one is lower, and it just ends up, the whole total's about the same.
Okay.
Give or take a sound. It's gonna be around.
Before anything else, I'd like to publicly thank both Ellen and Jackie for their hard work on this. This has not been an easy task, and, I mean, you both have worked diligently, and there've been plenty of finance committee meetings and back and forth and phone calls and everything else. So I wanted to publicly commend the both of you for the hard work that you've put into getting us to this point and where we're at today.
Thank you. And thank you all for all of your help as well, and especially thanks to the library staff, because when we say we need to pivot, they jump on it and make it happen. So they're doing incredible work under some pretty stressful times, so they're awesome. Thank you.
You do have a good staff.
We do. I'm biased, but we do have a great staff.
Yes. All right, any other questions or need clarification on anything? All right. Can I have a motion to, actually, wait, oh, no,
We
we're
did.
We already
we're
did
voting,
that,
that's
yeah?
right, all right.
Yeah.
All in favor of approving the 2026 budget as recommended by the Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Next, we have the Special Projects Outreach and Fundraising Committee. Scott?
Yeah, so
You're up.
we, Jackie and Ann and I had a meeting with a company, Perspective of donating to the library. It was a second meeting with them, and we gave a tour of the library. And so we just talked about some opportunities, but then we had our committee meeting. So the timing, we had the committee meeting, and couldn't be there. But Jackie and I talked about the meeting with this company, and one of the things we kind of realized is we could use like a menu of opportunities. That if a company comes to us and said, hey, how can we participate? We could say, oh, well, here's all these opportunities, you know, as a starting point of what we could look at. And so we kind of talked about that. Well, then Jackie, at speed of lightning, quick came up with something like that, a kind of a little menu, and sent it off to the company. So it was kind of like initial draft, but something it was a great start for us to work on it. So we're still kind of waiting to hear back from that. But that was,
If I could just jump in, if you go to the school district website, we just created a sponsorship guide, and it's based on a lot that occurs in the public schools in Waukesha County. We just presented on it, and this will be in my report, but it's all public, so just go on the website, and it's under sponsorship opportunities. Then it lists ways for people to donate, and there's forms, and there's a system and a protocol. All credit to Caitlin Windler, who's my director of finance and operations, for working with a team over 6 months to create that. But it's more of a model.
Yeah.
You know, use it, don't use it, to, you know, like, I think you'll see that we're gonna be focusing on that and even refining more. But it's a way for people are gonna donate or put money toward the schools, but they could do the same thing with the library.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we're taking all the inputs.
Yeah,
so-
take a look at it.
Yeah.
Just go to the business, you'll see it right there. It's all on the website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's terrific. That's fantastic. Getting that out to them right away and, you know, giving a good stab at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that, and then along with that, saying, okay, if we have menu opportunities, then it's, okay, and what can we do for you, company? Is it naming rights to something? Is it signage? Whatever that is. So we need to come up with that too, of, depending on how much recognition they want or don't want, what we could do.
I think you're gonna like the website because it goes into naming
Great.
rights. It lists naming rights banners and it goes into all of those particulars.
Okay,
She really did a great job.
good.
We are getting some donations coming in, but we're happy to share.
Shared the donations, great.
No.
Is that, can we put that in this?
The platform, the platform, we're thankful for our donors. But we have a lot of great businesses and donors in the Falls and the Greater Falls area, so, no, thank you, though.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's some of the things we talked about, and then also putting together a charter, kind of a charter for our committee, to make it clear of, you know, what's our role versus some other roles in the library. So those are the key things we're working on right now in that committee.
Very nice.
And do you want a Friends report now, or is that later?
It'll be a little bit later.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you for that update. I was looking forward to getting that update. So next we have the Policy Review Committee. So we actually just met right before this meeting. We discussed the fiscal policy and the postings and exhibits policy, so that should be coming up within the next couple of board meetings. Otherwise, that's all I have for that one. So next we have discuss and consider for approval President Barker's appointment of Michael Dibbicks to the Policy Review Committee. Michael, do you accept the appointment?
I do, yes.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve President Barker's appointment of Michael Dibbicks to the Policy Review Committee?
Motion to approve.
You're just gonna let these two fight every time.
Are you a second then?
Second.
All right, there we go. All right, motion and second. Any discussion?
Thank you, Michael. I'm just gonna say
Sure.
for stepping up and offering to be a part of this, and especially
Sure.
with these committees, that's super helpful.
Yeah, no, happy to do the work, so, yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right, all in favor of approving President Barker's appointment of Michael Dibbicks to the Policy Review Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next is trustee education. So we have a Bridges Library System trustee appreciation event on Tuesday, September 30th from 6 to 8 at Johnson Creek Community Center. I will be attending. I hope all of you guys can come.
It will be impossible for me to go this year, so I'm sorry I can't go with you.
This will be my third year, and
Yes.
I've enjoyed myself every single time,
Last year
so.
was nice.
I have it on my calendar. I will be there as well. If anybody wants to carpool, let me know.
Anything else to add on that, Jack? Okay. Next we have the library director's report.
Oh, did you have anything for the president's report?
Oh, no, because that was
Okay.
what I was
Oh,
gonna
that
talk
was
about.
what you were gonna talk about, okay. All right, so big things happening at the library. So we have our 2 new spaces opening up very, very soon upstairs on the second floor, the co-lab. If you haven't checked them out yet, you can still see them. They're still closed off because we're finishing up things in the room, but look for the giant orange wall upstairs, and you can check out what the collabs are gonna look like. So these are the co-working spaces that are reservable for one person up to 6 people. It's gonna be fantastic, and we're having a bit of a ribbon cutting on Monday, September 29th at 4:30. Let me know if you're able to attend. We're gonna have members of the Friends there, Bridges Library System, and then the library board there, just to commemorate the opening of these really incredible spaces, and you have a chance to thank the donors. So I hope,
Sorry, I was gonna say, do you wanna remind the public how those were taken care of?
yes,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
And maybe you already worked on it, but.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we received grant funding from Bridges Library System. We received funding from the Menomonee Falls Library Friends, and the Library Friends got an incredible grant from the Greater Menomonee Falls Foundation, so that was wonderful. Our Adult Services Librarian, John Cruz, really spearheaded this project, working on the technology, the design, working with the painters, so he really took the lead with it, which was awesome, and it's gonna be a great time, so I hope that you guys are able to attend. In terms of statistics, we are on track, doing a great job this year. I really think we're just continuing to grow with our circulation and just keep moving forward. So that's all going well. I did start putting the total circulation in the report. So that includes our digital circulation as well as our print circulation. I anticipate seeing some changes with Hoopla going away in October, but we will continue to see growth in Libby for sure. So that digital circulation is really showing us what people are interested in our community. In terms of a coffee shop update, August was a great month for them. We had a few catering orders, as well as some large-scale kind of purchases, so that was incredible. I'm gonna be working with the Village Department of Public Works as they wind down with their flood cleanup efforts. Hopefully, we find time to get together to look into, Latitude has an interest in installing some plastic clear curtains for the second floor patio so that it would be a usable space even in the colder weather. So looking into that, seeing what the feasibility is building wise and going from there. So I will keep you posted on that. In terms of the facilities maintenance plan update, no update. Public Works has been really busy. This is not at the top of their list right now, so it's a totally understandable setback. But as soon as I hear something, I will let you know about that. In terms of the first floor improvement plan, so we have everything we need from the designers, from the contractors, we have the plans, we have the furniture picked out for this project. Initially, we were hoping, in collaboration with my talks with the village manager, that this would be like a January 1st project. But the tight budget turnaround time and the need for possible bids on things, it's just not gonna work in terms of a January start. So we're talking about pushing it towards the end of the year, October, November, December of 2026, which honestly works well for us too, because it's also a slow time in terms of traffic. It's not during the summer library program. That would be literally a nightmare. But it also gives us time to make sure that the details are right, that the light fixtures are right, things like that. So I'm hoping that next month we can start talking about the financial aspect of it, maybe with the finance committee, and looking at the breakdown of some of those costs, and starting the conversation with the village about those unknown features of our agreement, where, okay, so we're gonna be replacing some of our outdated light fixtures with LED lighting. Who's responsible for paying for that? Is it the village's expense or is it our expense? So starting those conversations, but we do need to move a little bit expeditiously because this would be in the village's budget next year in terms of them allocating funds for this project to happen. I am continuing to look at grant funding possibilities for this. There's certainly not as many grants available as there used to be for these types of things, but I'm looking at grant funding to see if that could be a possibility. Of course, potentially, maybe some donors would be able to contribute towards it, but looking at our a high-level overview of our fund balances, I do believe that we would have the finances to contribute our portion, but I'm trying to get that number down as much as possible with grants, donations, things like that. So next month, I'm hoping that we can continue talking about that a little bit more. And that's all for me. Yeah, John?
So this remodeling project for the first floor, is this part of a laid out, is this part of a laid out strategic approach to remodeling the library, or is it something that it's been 50 years just, and it really needs to be?
So what the updates, the major updates to this building began in 2020 when we created the teen space, created the maker space, turned that from a computer lab to a maker space, and relocated the local history room, which was where the teen space is currently. Initially, the plan was that they were going to update those areas and the children's library at the same time. But finances got in the way, as they tend to do, and it was we'll do that in 2021. Well,
COVID.
Pandemic happened, and that really kind of threw a wrench in that plan because of the skyrocketing costs of construction. So the next step was always to update the children's library. Then we wanted to complete the first floor with this refresh, these updates, and then the big project, which we're looking at in the next few years, is updating the second floor, wall coverings, furniture, carpet for sure, but that is gonna be a large scale project because you're talking about a couple $100,000 just for moving those bookshelves, especially the nonfiction bookshelves, because of their size, in order to do the flooring project.
Now, I haven't been present for this, but I guess I would be interested in, if you can, I can come and you walk me through, what is the rationale behind needing all of these things? I don't know. And I guess that would help me understand the urgency or not urgency of the
Right.
project.
Mostly, the rationale is we're past the 20-year mark now, and that's when, we're looking at lifespans, right? So carpeting lifespan, all different types of flooring lifespan. We're looking at, okay, when has this ever been painted? Oh, never. We gotta look at that. The wallpaper's coming off the wall, things like that. And then also looking at this from a financial perspective with if we were to install new LED light fixtures, we're possibly looking at some serious cost savings moving forward with different light fixtures, LEDs. There's been so many improvements made since 2002 that by making these improvements now, looking at our budget long-term, we might be in a lot better position.
And
So yeah,
I
there's a
get
lot that goes
but
into it.
That you got, I think, since we're approving it, I think we need to be sold on why this is necessary, why this is a good move, and what is the plan. As I hadn't heard any of this prior to
Sure.
this. What is the rationale behind all of this? And I think as a board, we need to know that so that we can say, you betcha, definitely,
Yeah,
or assist in looking at some options. Yeah.
absolutely.
So if you could arrange for that to
Sure.
happen some way, that'd be great.
You bet, absolutely. And I think that's all I have
Okay.
officially.
All right. Next is the village trustees report. Ann?
On Monday, the Village Board of Trustees, we reviewed and approved the operating plan for the bid. I I think a lot of people don't know what the bid is. So I'm not gonna call anyone out here, so I thought I'd take just a quick couple minutes to explain it. But it's the Business Improvement District, so you think about our downtown. And I have a little map if anyone wants to look at it, and of course on the village website you can see this. For those of you who've lived here for, I've been here for 24 years, you can see how drastically different our downtown is. It's beautiful, we're starting to get some cool businesses, so there's big changes. Well, that's predominantly because of this bid group that we have. And I'll just read to you what it stands for. So the Business Improvement Operating Plan is development, redevelopment, maintenance, operation, and promotion, and for the economic benefit of all businesses and property owners within the bid. So the people who own businesses within that downtown area, we have a little different setup for them, and the taxes are a little bit different. They get capped out at a certain level. Most of them are part of an organization, I would call it, within the bid, where they can pay us a certain amount of money. It's not a lot, but to be a part of it. So it makes everyone more active and really invested. Like you've seen, I'm assuming most people have been to Lavender Fest, and it's, our festivals are becoming a thing and really generating a lot of people coming to our village. And for instance, the owner of Poppy and Thyme, really Lavender Fest was her baby that she's taken to the next level. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else on here. Originally, when this started, this was more of just a kind of a self-sustaining organization. They've now become, they're actually profitable and they're making money. So now the plan this year includes the money that they make, like it's not gonna go in their pockets, but it's gonna be reinvested. So they're putting more money into marketing and flowers. Those are the two biggest things that they're gonna do. So to figure out, okay, how do we market? What's working? What do people like? And I would assume you've all noticed how beautiful the flowers in our village are. So I have to call out Dutch Touch, because I actually saw the owner out there watering the other day. I'm like, wait, are you the owner? Because they've been incredible. All right, any questions on that, you can ask me. The next thing is we approved the garbage and recycling fund. So there's gonna be a little increase of 3%. You notice, everyone has to pay for their garbage and recycling. Assistant Chief Nyhart came and did a report on the flooding, which is of course the big news that we've had. It really was quite catastrophic. There were homes literally taking off of their foundation. And my son lost his car in the flood. I mean, we could all go on and on. There was truly a lot of damage for people. I'm just going to give you a couple statistics quickly. On Saturday alone, our public safety got 409 calls for help in one way or another. The rainfall, there's estimates, but it's somewhere around 12 inches. For some reason, that storm just decided to linger, right? They had that long line, and we were one of the hardest hit. The police department, fire department, and public works, I cannot say what a great job they did, and they're still going. They are still working on this. But they significantly increased their staffing. 3 a.m. was the main time that it really started to get an uptick where they needed it. We declared emergency declaration on 8/13, and there was 874 211 submissions. So I know I was telling people about that. Call 211 to report any damage that you had. And this is as of September 12th. We did get the notification from FEMA that we will be getting 29.8 million. Sounds like a lot, right? Well, the estimates of damage to individuals alone is 35 million. That's just an estimate. And then for public, 1.2. I think, a lot of us just took it upon ourselves, got it fixed, but some people truly, truly are gonna need some help. So what everyone needs to do, if you're looking to get some assistance, call 1-800-621-FEMA. Say that one more time, 1-800-621-FEMA. the village no longer controls this. You getting any funding is gonna come directly from the FEMA. That's enough from me.
All right, next is the school district report.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna do like a hybrid report. We had our annual meeting on September 8th, so we approved with the community the levy. So the general overview is very good for the school district of Menomonee Falls. So this is, I want to start with transparency and accountability. So everything is online. So all of these packets, this packet of information, the information that I was referencing about the sponsorship program, all of these documents are available online, including with recordings, actually done by our friends at Falls Cable Access. Thank you very much for all of those recordings. They're all online. They're all uploaded with respect to the things that I'm going to mention. So just to start off, the celebrations in the district, there's a lot of them. There is, we exceed expectations on the DPI report card. First of all, reading and math are better now than they were 2 years ago. So there's and that's something that I showed the community during my presentation, is that the reading and math numbers 3 years ago, we are better now than we were last year. We are better now than we were 3 years ago with reading and math. And we have more work to do, and we're excited about doing that work. Independent financial audit, so an outside agency audits our books. We have a clean audit opinion, which is the highest opinion to have of our books. So we have a great business department led by Caitlin Windler, and she does a great job. She's doing a lot of the presentations. That went really well. We're almost done building the new community center for the whole village of Menomonee Falls, not just the school district. So those that haven't went over by Riverside Elementary, we had a problem at Riverside. We needed to expand Riverside. For those that don't know, that's connected to our community center. So we decided to, without creating any debt, and actually by saving the taxpayers $3.3 million over 10 years, to build out a community center with a new gym, indoor walking space that's, you can do it in the winter, you can walk inside during the winter, and then pretty much rebuilding and pulling everything onto one level for that community ed and rec. Now, why do I bring up community ed and rec when I run the school district? Because it's a department of the school district. And most people don't know that. It's not common. There's 400 and some school districts in the state of Wisconsin. There's only about 50 of us statewide that actually run rec departments or do this sort of thing. We happily do it, but we needed to do some work at both our rec department and Riverside. So Riverside's already opened up. Most of community ed and rec is opened up. There's a lot of pictures online. Actually, you don't need any pictures anymore. Just drive by it. You can see that the gym is up, the roof is up on the new gym. Most of it is operational. We'll have December, January, the latest. Everything will be open with that space. So it's about $9 to $10 million project with no new debt. So there was no referendum, there's no loans. It was all cash. So there's no extra debt to the community at all. We do add a gym to the community, which is a big deal. So that's something to celebrate. Not because it's all about gyms, but we use those gyms and those facilities for a lot of things. You know, fairs and just think weekend activities, and they're always full. Our gyms are always full. A couple other celebrations, our sponsorship program. It's brand new as of July 1st. It's all on the district website. A lot of credit to our business department for opening up a sponsorship program as well. Some other celebrations, we do about $1 million of ongoing maintenance every year. All those projects, it's a lot of roof work. It's important work. The roofing this year happened at the high school, largely over the cafeteria space, but also other space, and then over at Ben Franklin, which is one of our elementary schools. So, you know, that work over that space, roof work, takes a lot of money, and we're at the 20-year scape, 20-some years. I mean, so those sorts of things we kind of do regular maintenance with. Some other things that I presented on at the annual meeting, like I said, this is just a brief overview. Everything is online with all of this information, and we are excited about it. Some other things, our students are saying some great things about the school district. 4 out of 5 of our students are saying, I believe my learning is important at my school. That's awesome. We want to hear that. would like for 5 out of 5 to say that, but we're great with 4 out of 5. I have opportunities to be successful at my school. I feel my family is treated nicely or with respect at my school. I believe my principal is a good leader. So do I. They're great leaders. And I enjoy specials or electives. So a lot of our specials or electives, that's like music and art and PE and other things as well. So they were extra happy to hear that when I presented it at the start of the year. I have a slideshow here that was presented at the meeting that talks about reading and math, and it shows on the slideshow how we're doing better now than we were last year, and better this year, much better this year than we were 2 years ago with reading and math. So big state metrics that way. So we're excited about that. Our parents and families, when we did our strategic planning, one of the big feedback pieces was the communication was so much we don't even know what to look at. So we've streamlined it. Actually, from some of you sat on the steering committee for strategic plan, and so now there's just one communication for elementary school families. They could just use Class Dojo. There's one back and forth communication. We have a lot of positive feedback about that. We changed our website. It's brand new as of August 8th. A lot of good feedback about that. We continue to update it, and we're measuring it about accessibility and handicap accessibility, which isn't required yet, but it will be in a few years. But also, making sure that we have less and less dead links. Because that's one of the key things on websites. It's not the link right up front, but it's the second, the third, the fourth. Once you click in and you're getting what you need to, we want it to get to 100%. You can never really get there. You're always changing. Things are always moving. So we're excited about that work, changing the website. We piloted last year parental access to attendance. It's a big deal, right? When you call your kids in, you have to make a phone call and leave a message. Now parents can just do it all digitally, right? They were able to do that last year at the middle school and the high school, but now we've spread that district-wide at the elementary school as well. So they can just jump right into the system and digitally handle things, which is great. We have a lot of great staff. We have amazing staff. And one big point that came up was over 2 years, our second consecutive year where we've retained over 95% of our teaching staff. Second consecutive year where we've retained over 95% of our, that's amazingly high. Because one of our strategic plan goals is retention, attract and retain, 95, we set targets lower than that because that's just too high. We're great with 95%. We want to keep doing that, and we're excited about that. So employee recruitment and retention is something we're focused on, so much so that we pushed out over $300,000 back to the teaching staff just within the last month. We were working and looking at contracts over the last 5 and 8 years and looking at what's called attrition and looking at compression, really, and how sometimes you hire somebody here and then somebody gets hired a little higher. That's called compression. So before you can fix the whole thing, you have to start there. So we hired very well and were able to put some of that money back in the short term, all within the budget. So the budget numbers, all of that I said, was balanced. So we have a balanced budget overall with a 32.5% fund balance and an additional $350,000 in interest earning. It's just a high interest earning environment, and we're taking advantage like a lot of people with that. The fund balance seems high, but we don't have to borrow to make payroll, right? We have about 600 employees-ish, so we don't have to borrow to make payroll. The way the public schools work, I'm not sure about the library in terms of monies from the state, but the state doesn't send all the money at the start of the year. They send it periodically, and then, so we have to make payments until December or January before the first big payment comes in from Madison, and then we can start, filling the fund balance up. So it's kind of an ebb and flow thing. That's why you have it that way. So we're excited about that. And I'm not going to get into the money too much because Caitlin did a great job with that, but I'm just going to get a general overview. We were able to give increases of 2.95%. There was an increase in health insurance that we were able to cover because of our health insurance reserves, but we're going to have to do some work with that. Those are challenges. Some other things, big things, and these are the big dollars that were approved. We approved the tax levy it's actually decreasing from $39,324,455 to $39,206,306. So the mill rate is decreasing from 709 to 7, and this year will be the second lowest mill rate in 33 years. Right? The lowest was 2 years ago. So mill rates, that doesn't mean everybody's taxes are going. It really depends on your house valuation. And I really recommend, if you want to dig into that and see where you're at personally, online or here, just dig into the presentations that Caitlin did a great job with. She actually goes into detail about how you can figure that out for your own particular house and house valuation situation. So feel free to look into that. Some other big pieces in terms of challenges and opportunities. I call it opportunities and challenges, right, over the next few years. We want to continue to improve math and reading. We've done a great job over 2 years. Things are better now than they were last year. They were better last year than the year before. But we want to continue that upward trend with reading and math. Our retention rates are extremely high. We would like to keep them there. You know, it'd be great if we could stay at 95%. We actually set our targets at 90% because that is also really high. But we're excited about retaining our teaching staff. It says a lot about the community, the school district, and the families that we work with, and also the staff. The community center will be done in a couple months. It's about a little under $10 million expansion. Some great pictures out there, but you really don't have to look at pictures anymore. Just go ahead and drive by. It's really exciting. In terms of the losses, the FEMA losses, which I don't think the school district is getting any FEMA money, but I really hope that everybody else can get all of it. We did have some losses as well. The Riverside gym was lost in the project, in the whole gym. So we had to pull out the whole wood floor. But it was the timing. If something bad was going to happen like that to the gym floor, because the water backed up and you had to pull all the wood out, and there's a couple renderings online, but they pulled it all out, put the whole gym floor in, resealed it, relined it, and the kids are using it already. So that's pretty exciting. So, and you can see that online. And actually, the great thing is Riverside and Community Ed and Rec is already using that gym. So it was completely down to the cement, and then, you know, our insurance, obviously we had insurance, so we were able to handle things that way. A couple of other things, and then we'll just open it up to questions. Opportunities and challenges. We're moving our district office. So we're moving our district office. We love the village and the police are expanding into this facility over here, the village facility. So they're doing a big expansion, which is great. We're good partners with that. We actually lease right now. District office leases from the village. So we're going to be moving over to Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin used to be a middle school, and there's a lot of, you know, space and kind of open space there. So that's a challenge because we need to have that done so the police can do their thing by July 1st. So that's happening this year. So we'll be reconstructing our district office right over here at Ben Franklin. Very similar to a lot of districts, like Hamilton's district office is in their high school. The same with New Berlin's is connected to Eisenhower, I believe. It's pretty common in Waukesha County. Pewaukee's is that way. So we're just going to accelerate it. We were in the middle of a 10-year lease. The village, they were great partners. Mark and I talked, Mr. Fitzgerald and I talked quite a bit, and we were able to work out a lease arrangement. I already mentioned the extra $1.6 million in RX spend. That is a challenge. That's $1.6 million. It was so much that we spread it over 2 years to pay it off. But we're making some major changes with our RX program. We are self-insured, but you still have to kind of attack that the way you attack it. A couple other things is the strategic plan and looking at some big things in the strategic plan. For example, you know, the middle school. You know, is that a permanent idea for the community? I'm not suggesting it is or it isn't, but it's a 1940s era building. It's in a great location for businesses, you know, and it is a great school. We've put a lot of money into it, but those are some questions we'll be asking this year about the middle school, because we do have quite a bit of land. You know, we're sitting on, 40 or 50 acres of land inside of the village. So those are discussions that we'll be talking about this year. Playgrounds, parking lots, Valley View is in need of a good amount of repairs, so actually more so than the middle school. So those are things that are in front of us, and people have been talking to me about, years ago they were supposed to build a field house at the high school. So I look back and sure enough, there were plans for it. I found them, and I put it up on a slide going, it wasn't my idea, that someone just cut it out of some project 20 years ago. There's the picture. I mean, it's on my slide there. I'm sorry I don't have it projected or anything. But it's an interesting concept, but that's a lot of what our sponsorship program is there for, and we're looking at things like that. So we're excited about the school year. We've had a great year last year. We were able to kick it off with staff. We've had a great start of the year. We always celebrate last year's staff members of the year at the start of the school year, like in front of everybody, and it's really great. So our key speaker was kind of a cyber, we're probably going to be bringing him back for students. We're working on that, but he was a cyber expert, talking about cybersecurity. The school district was hacked last year, but we didn't lose any money or any personal information because we have a great technology team. But we brought in a speaker that really did a great job. His name is Dr. Justin Patchen. I'd used him with the staffs of mine before years ago. He's from UW Eau Claire, but he's actually a criminologist. That's his training, and his training is the cyber, how do we keep the world safe, like passwords, and how students and even adults use social media and how all of the interactions that are occurring that we see all the time. So that was a great, he was well received by the staff, and I think he'd be even better received by the students. That's something we're working on for this year. Any questions? So longer, but the annual meeting's kind of a big deal, and we're excited to have a balanced budget. The budget is balanced, the mill rate is down, and we have a lot of big things going on even in that environment, very positive things.
So why are the math and reading scores up?
Well, yeah, great teachers, first of all. So really great teachers, outstanding teachers. We brought in new curriculum. So we have new ELA curriculum, new reading curriculum that we brought in last year. So this is the second year of the new curriculum. Obviously, when I arrived my first year, which is 3 years ago now, we were more assessing and looking at things, and that was work that happened during that first year in order to target curriculums. We did pilot curriculum work and these sorts of things. And then when we started looking at it, it's a good question, we started to continue to broaden how much money we were going to spend. We were going to initially spend $750,000. I told my curriculum director, I said, don't go small on this. This is what we do. I mean, we do a lot of things, but reading and math and learning is the core of what we do, and we do a lot of other things. But so it ended up being well over $1 million of all this new curriculum. But it's one thing to bring in the curriculum, but it's another thing to we have great internal teams and external teams at district office that are managing that to fidelity. It's one thing to have curriculum, but you got to get that into the classroom and the lessons and that feedback loop, and a lot of that work is going on. So we're excited about the work so far, and we're looking to continue to leverage that forward to continue making improvements. But I had that data in front, and it's all public anyway. Well, the last part of it, I actually don't use numbers on the slide because I know the numbers but the state keeps them embargoed, so they don't allow us to publish them. So when I did my presentation, I kept the numbers off, but I know that it's an improvement. But we'll show that once the state, every public school district in the state is embargoed with some of that data, but we can see it. So the trend is very positive, but we do want to make it even better.
Yeah, well, I mean, it needs to be, right?
Yeah, it does.
Our scores are abysmal across the country, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to hear that that's going up. I had one other question too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So our teachers, is it always just a set increase for everybody, or we pay for performance where,
Yeah, good question.
Sorry to throw these at you, I just.
No,
was
it's
thinking about it as
actually
you
a
were
great
talking
question. I
about
do
it.
appreciate the questions. We have a teachers union, so we negotiate with the union every year in good faith. So in those negotiations, we came to 2.95%, and we mutually agreed on that set increase. That being said, it wasn't pay for performance, what I mentioned and what I was talking about. What I was talking about was looking back 5 years and 10 years, long before the tenure of anybody in our district office, but looking at all staff, over time, and saying, okay, your salary is this, but a teacher that's 2 years versus 5 years, sometimes they were making the same money. And they were, everything else was the same. They were both doing great and evaluated great, but making the same money just based on, that's what compression is.
Yeah.
So salary schedules change, administrations change, all these sorts of things. Our work, which we've expressed multiple times in public meetings, meaning administration, me, but also my team, is to continue to, obviously, anytime the union wants to negotiate in good faith, we'll do that, which we did this year, we did last year, and everybody got that. All the teaching staff got 2.95. Actually, all of our staff did throughout the entire district. But on top of that, after that was done, because of some retirement incentives and new staff coming in and other staff going out, we had extra dollars available inside of the budget. We wanted to start fixing the compression issues that we could fix.
Sure.
So when I say
Makes sense.
compression, there's a lot of different kinds of compression,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'll give you an example that's not in this district, but that occurred in another district. A teacher was making $55,000 and they're in their 5th year of teaching or something, right? All of a sudden, new superintendent comes in, could have been me, and they raised the bottom
Sure, I get that.
up to 52,000. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you've created this problem, not for the person at the very bottom, but the one that's been there 5 or 6 years. So that's hard work. That takes a lot, because you have to set that for 1 year, make the adjustment in 1 year, and then budget it for all the years going forward. But it's righteous work. I think it's good work. I think it's what you need to do in order to fix some multiple year issues before we arrived.
Gotcha.
In that regard.
All right.
Does that help?
Yes, so thank you. It's
Yeah.
good to hear all those things, and 95% retention. So I'd like to.
For 2 years.
I'd like to reiterate these things because of social media posts that are very false regarding our school district. So
Oh,
happy
yeah.
to hear all those things.
Yeah, very false. Yeah, 95% for 2 consecutive
Yes.
years.
They are.
For 2
so
consecutive years, yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
As a parent in the district, I also just wanted to chime in that I've seen the changes with my children firsthand, and just the retention piece alone for, my daughter to want a teacher at her school and to be able to have that teacher. I mean, because of how good they are, and they're not leaving our district to go somewhere else, we're keeping that good education, and you can see it, to your point, in the test scores and with the new curriculum. So I think there's just a lot of positivity that's going from that, and a lot of positivity, I think, at least from my standpoint as a parent within the school district. So I wanted to commend you and your staff and all the teachers in the district. I mean, you guys just do a wonderful, wonderful job.
We have a great team, so it's, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Soper. Drop the pen.
Since we're complimenting you, I will say that
Wow.
no, seriously, I'd like to compliment.
For those
I wasn't
listening
going to,
online,
but everybody else.
That comes from a policy committee meeting. Okay.
Yeah, right. I just want to say, just from looking at the school district and not having been in the community for 3 years, actually 4 anyway. just your entrance into the district as superintendent and your work with the school board that is now. I'm really impressed with how on top of the things that make the district successful that you and the board have really been able to monopolize on. So I'm really glad to see those transitions taking place in the community and how well you've been leading them to do that. So thank you. And that stuff you stated is awesome. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very kind. And I do apologize for not giving you French fries at the policy committee meeting.
That's all right.
That's on me.
All right, I have to-
But I'm very thankful to the school board. They're a great team, all 7 of them. All 7 of the board members are doing a great job. It's a lot of work to be an elected official. As our elected officials know,
We get rich doing it, so don't worry.
it's really tough being elected officials. I tell the board members that work with me all the time it is really a special thing that they're doing to put themselves out there that way. And I'm happy to
Yeah, let's
assist.
be kind to each other. Real quick mentioning that, I forgot to say that we are going to start brush pickup. Actually, it started Monday.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
But the brush pickup, this is only related to the flooding. So if they show up and you have like some nice, set aside tree cut down, no. This is for major stuff that was
Okay,
taken down. Then leaf pickup will begin a couple weeks after that.
good deal.
All right. Since everybody else was, giving kudos, I will say that my daughter is extremely excited because she is in 8th grade and doing 9th grade math this year. So that just goes to show your great teaching staff, and she is very, very excited about that. So
I think I was in that class. Is it?
Were you?
Yeah. Miss Laura, probably? Pretty sure I walked in there. But anyway.
Luera. Yeah, Miss
Yeah.
Luera.
Yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
100%. I
Yep.
was in there.
Yep.
100%, I was in there. We're really having a great go. Thank you it's very kind of everybody. I look forward to what more we can do. I really do, with the school district. I really think that there's much more that we can do inside of this strategic plan over the next couple of years. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the Friends report.
Okay, just a few items. They had their event at the Third Space Innovation Brew House, and they were thrilled with it. That one night, they got $475.
Oh, nice.
And they got a lot of great feedback, people saying, great venue for them. And so they were very pleased with that. Then he started talking about where all the places they've been through the years, and it's a laundry list. I think they really got it captured, and they're talking about where do we go next. But that was a good one.
That is a great venue, though. We popped over there late afternoon just to get in and help with the cause a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that venue, for an event like that, you're not just sitting at a table. You can
Right.
kind of mingle, and there's room, and the outdoor was open, so that was a big hit.
Being that I live really close to Innovation Brewery, it does get a little loud, but some of the music I like, so I was fine in my backyard.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of that.
I was fine I personally was fine in my backyard, listening for a while and.
Free entertainment, there you go.
Hey,
I was
The
gonna
Friends
say
have
nothing.
grown from 912 to now 997.
Oh, nice.
They did say they've noticed people are confused, thinking that if they have a library card, they're one of the Friends. So you do a little education program that just the Friends are something beyond just the card. So a little work to do on that. October 25 will be a Friends-only Halloween event here at the library from 5 to 7. You will all be invited, and as a bonus, all you have to do is show up. You won't even have to work. You don't have to volunteer for anything, and you just check it out and see all that's going on. The last thing, just talking about promoting and getting the word out, they were talking about starting short videos, which they haven't done. They've done postings, but not video. And so a conversation of they need to get a plan of how to do these that would be, draw more interest and get awareness out to the organization, so. Those were the key points, unless there was something I missed.
No, I think you covered that.
All right. Sounds amazing. Next meeting will be Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 6:00 PM, and we are adjourned.
Really